Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Daily Motivations Podcast. Today, we will talk about a philosophy that is both profoundly harmful and remarkably nourishing at the same time. This way of life. Whether it has caused the downfall of countless individuals or aided in the success of many, remains shrouded in mystery. It is a paradox, exhibiting qualities of both immense virtue and grave malevolence. Do you all find it peculiar? Is there something in this world that resembles that? And this video I made is the piece that I hold dear to my heart, because I will unveil this stereotype for all of you to hear. A stereotype that you might have already encountered and interacted with in your lives. Perhaps you are living by it consistently, unknowingly. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Feel free to leave your thoughts or comments. If you appreciate content like this and would like to support me, you can contribute via PayPal address in my description. Each contribution you make serves as a motivation to help further develop the quality of my content. I will reveal this truth, this way of life, of course. The term philosophy is enclosed in double quotation marks. This implies that some might perceive it as truth, but it might not necessarily be the ultimate truth. I state this clearly to avoid any misinterpretation, so please, don't be too harsh on me. I will both refute and defend this truth simultaneously, and in the end, I will draw the conclusion based on my perspective, the most wholesome and accurate understanding of this way of life. At least it's what resonates with me personally. So, what is the stereotype within the double quotation marks? Have you ever received advice from others or even told yourself to be yourself? Have you ever heard this phrase before? In fact, it's not hard for us to come across this phrase. If you search it on Google, you'll find numerous articles about be yourself. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Reels often repeat the mantra be yourself extensively. In this first part, I want to let you know that this is a fundamentally flawed way of life. It will hinder your chances of ever succeeding. It shackles you with your weaknesses. Do you believe it? At this point, those who embrace the be yourself stereotype might feel quite uncomfortable. But rest assured, because in the second part, I will defend it. Don't worry. Please refrain from expressing overly negative opinions hastily. Now, to illustrate the negative aspects, I will paint a darker picture. Let's take an example. Imagine you are born into a very poor family, and your childhood is marked by immense hardships. You can't even afford a proper meal, and your skin is darkened by the sun. In essence, you lack physical attractiveness. There's no appeal in your appearance, your home is meager, and your family is frequently ensnared in the cycle of violence and alcohol. Actually, this example isn't uncommon at all, my friends. Consider this as your starting point, a circumstance, an environment like this. And now you've grown up. So now, if I were to tell you to be yourself, do you understand what being yourself would entail in this case? What it means is that you should live with that chaotic mess for your entire life. Because, at the very least, your current moment is intertwined with numerous negative factors. You lack educational opportunities, possess unattractive physical traits, struggle with poor social skills, and might even be caught in the grip of alcoholism. And there is often a recurring tendency towards violence. So, if I were to tell you to be yourself, I would be incredibly bad friend. It would mean I'm urging you to embrace all these unfavorable aspects. No. That's why I insist that those who don't understand the concept of be yourself, who don't comprehend what it truly means, are destined for perpetual failure. It's because people always end up reverting to accepting and embracing the negative traits within. Isn't that right? Now, I don't intend to engage in body shaming, but the fact remains that not everyone is fortunate enough to be beautiful. There are those who are considered average, and there are those who are not attractive by conventional standards. We must acknowledge this reality. For instance, if I were to play the role of being unattractive, how does being yourself come into play? Should I just accept my unattractiveness and believe that being yourself is the solution? So, what if you're born into a poor family? It's because of my inherent nature to be poor. Be yourself, they say. Embrace being poor and consider it done. No, in this particular aspect. Do me a favor, please don't be yourself. Don't just be yourself. Be better, please. This is something that I sincerely hope you will do. After listening to this part 1, If your abilities aren't high and you attempt something and fail, someone comes along and advises you, just be yourself. Why bother putting in effort? Why push yourself, right? Why strive when not everyone can achieve this? Some people tell you that, and you thank them profusely. Oh my, how can you say something so kind? But no, my friend, after that splendid moment, there follows a long string of days where you live with failure, and you eventually surrender. When you surrender to success, it means that failure has become your companion. Are you happy? No. So please, don't just be yourself. Find a way to be better. Today, I might not be intelligent. Today, I might be slow. Today, my learning pace might be sluggish. Please, don't accept these shortcomings as part of being yourself. Replace that notion with the word better. I'm not attractive. Well, try to gradually improve your appearance. Many models, even those on international shows, still face criticism, yet they radiate beauty and shine in their unique way. Why, you ask? They possess knowledge, expertise, understanding, and determination. What's unique is that they don't tell themselves to be yourself. Unconsciously, they might say be better, so don't just be yourself. If your situation is currently dire, if you were born with issues, if fate hasn't granted you luck, don't accept it. Try your best to get the better version of yourself. Because your efforts now don't just benefit you, but also future generations. If you give up now, then in the future, when your child is born, they will also come into a less favorable family. But if you strive now, the generations that follow will be born into wonderful, compassionate families. We've discussed extensively about refuting the Be Yourself lifestyle in part 1. However, in part 2, if you would allow me, I'd like to reset. To respectfully defend this notion, this is the part where many might feel perplexed and puzzled. You might think, is it possible that a statement can be both right and wrong? So, should we follow the first or the second opinion? Don't worry. The answer to this dilemma will be addressed in the conclusion, in part 3. Now, let's return to part 2. Why is this lifestyle called Be Yourself considered beneficial? Let's take an example. I greatly value loyalty and hold high regard for virtuous individuals. Now, one day, a colleague of mine says to me that he finds our boss doesn't pay attention to money matters at all. Don't you see? The two of us could exploit the company's resources behind her back and make a fortune. He says, I'm sure the boss is unaware. She's always so busy. And she trusts both of us immensely. So, if my values are rooted in loyalty and kindness, then I should be myself in this situation, right? I can't help but be true to myself at this moment. And a virtuous person must know how to decline. There are indeed many examples. And it does seem quite contradictory, doesn't it? Initially, we advised against Be Yourself. And now we're advocating for it. So, how do we reconcile this? Do we need more examples? Well, there are plenty, but let's stick with this for now. Isn't that sufficient to understand? It might seem a bit unfair because in part 1 I spent so much time criticizing Be Yourself, while part 2 offered some defense. Now, as we approach this point, I'd like to announce that part 2 is ending, and now let's move on to part 3. Here's a key takeaway, my friends. The crux of the matter isn't whether to be yourself or not. It's because we need to realize that as individuals, we are complex beings. We are not as simple as having just one trait, one personality, one identity, or one template. No, we are not that straightforward. Please, never just look at someone's personality, character, or ethics. It's too simplistic. There's never just one element for you to decide whether to be yourself. So, within me, if I have 10 different traits and you tell me to be yourself, which aspect of my personality is myself? For example, I'm introverted, but when I'm with my best friend, I talk a lot. If you tell me to be yourself, which version of me should I be? The talkative one or the quiet one? It gets confusing, doesn't it? Or let's say there are times when I'm very angry and easily irritated, but there are also moments when I'm warm and affectionate. So, if you say be yourself, is it during the times when I'm angry or when I'm warm? Because no one is sunny all the time. And no one is rainy all the time. There's never a person who's 100% good, and naturally, there's also never a person who's 100% bad. Good and bad, it's all intertwined. So, when it comes to being yourself, what does that even mean? From this thought, my friends, I draw a conclusion. In summary, the phrase be yourself is too vague and should be replaced with a longer, seemingly unrelated statement. It inherits the essence of be yourself, but expanded to nurture the good within you and gradually eliminate the bad, improving over time. This is the essence, my friends. So, as I told you, why is be yourself a problematic statement? It's only problematic if we interpret it as embracing all aspects of ourselves, including the negative ones, and stubbornly hold on to them. Like poverty, ugliness, negative traits. When you say you have a quick temper or a hot-headed nature, but your heart is good, no. You shouldn't defend yourself like that. When you express anger and use hurtful words towards others, that's not a good thing. And if we use be yourself to hold onto these negative traits, we are devolving, moving backward. It's very detrimental. Don't you agree? It's really harmful. It's not acceptable. Finally, let go of the negative aspects within you or gradually improve them. Embrace the good and eliminate the bad gradually. That's all. The phrase be yourself is too general. So now, what you should do is quite simple. Each person needs moments of contemplation, reflection. Or you can try the most effective method. Write down the good and bad within you. Acknowledge the positive and negative aspects. It may seem easy, but trust me, it's not easy to look inside you deeply. And your life, my friends, is primarily about nurturing the good and gradually shedding the bad. That is your life's mission. And it's of paramount importance. It's not a simple game. No one in this world is without flaws. Sometimes I get frustrated, angry, and things get really ugly. I'm not hiding this from you. But what's essential is that the mission of our lives always starts with 2 steps. Firstly, understand and know yourself thoroughly. Understand what is good and bad within you. Secondly, nurture the good and gradually shed the bad. That's a mission of a lifetime. And those who accomplish it can consider themselves fulfilled in this life. And don't think this process is quick. We often see people in their 40s or 50s who still exhibit the same basic mistakes as their teenagers. Why is it that even when you're 3 times older, you still experience moments of anger, outbursts, and even harbor tiny desires for revenge? Why? Because it's quite simple. It's possible that you haven't undertaken step 1, which is to understand yourself clearly and deeply. And if you don't have step 1, how can you have step 2, right? Therefore, what we think, accept, and comprehend about ourselves is extremely significant. It forms a comprehensive form of education on a profound level. Concerning the life of a human being, it represents the pinnacle of education, where the purpose is to nurture the good, to develop the positive qualities. I use the term nurture to imply that today it's merely a seed, and tomorrow it may blossom and bear fruit. The term nurture is quite meaningful, as it also involves gradually diminishing and letting go of undesirable aspects. This is the mission of life. And I must admit I have not been able to achieve this in a manner that could be considered perfect. However, I am conscious and certain that I have at least accomplished step 1. It's possible that tomorrow, I might realize that I still possess another negative aspect, but at least for now, I feel fairly content. I have managed to grasp both the negative and positive aspects of myself. Well, what is good within me? I nurture and preserve at all costs. I must be true to myself with regards to the positive traits. And when it comes to the negative aspects, it's best to bid them farewell. And so, this is a video that I've dedicated quite a lot of passion to. I always strive to find a way to interpret things for better understanding, even though it can be quite perplexing and may cost me some sleep. Yet, in the end, it's complete, and I'm delighted to have brought new knowledge to all of you. To wrap it up, I hope you all receive something positive, and indeed, this is the joy that creating this video has given me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Feel free to leave your thoughts or comments. If you appreciate content like this and would like to support me, you can contribute via PayPal address in my description. Each contribution you make serves as a motivation to help further develop the quality of my content. Now, it's time to say goodbye, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you all very much.